All right, hey there, fashion friends. Welcome to today's episode, and thank you for tuning in.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like.
What I always say is that fashion and style really comes from your own personal aesthetic. Basically, wearing clothes that you love and styling them in the way that makes you feel the best version of yourself. I don't like to sit here and say that my way is the best way. So these are just rules that I stick to ensure that every outfit has elevation and accentuation. And just because these work for me doesn't mean that they'll necessarily work for you. However, with that, I am sharing them with you guys just in case there's any of these rules that you would like to take away to add to your own style rules, to your own rule book. And maybe it's that you're not quite sure where you're at style-wise, and some of these rules might be able to help you as well. Because they are pretty general rules, I feel like they can work for a lot of different people, but again, it does boil down to preference. And of course, with that, these rules are not meant to offend. If you do the opposite of what I do, then that is completely fine. As long as you are happy in what you're doing, that is all that matters. Again, we are just here talking about what I do today. All right, let's get started. Let's talk about these rules. Okay, so rule number 1, never let my shirt lay flat. So I did actually do a video on this quite a while ago called Upping Your T-Shirt Game, and I go through all these different styling tips to basically just elevate your t-shirt styling, because I definitely don't like to just have a t-shirt flop or just a t-shirt lay flat. I don't want the shirt to lie flat because I don't like that it's basically covering up the waistline. It's not really doing anything for you body-wise, doesn't really do anything style-wise, it's just meh. Which brings me to rule number 2, which is always keep the waistline or the hip line if possible. I talk about this a lot in the t-shirt styling video as well, and I've talked about it in many of my episodes, that because I am a rectangular shaped gal, I really do love to keep that waistline just to kind of add a bit of curve or look of curves to my body, which is why I like to wear high-waisted jeans a lot of the time. But with that, I also do like to wear low-rise jeans to draw attention to the hips as well. So when possible, I always try to keep one of those accentuated. Because there is a lot of boyish and sort of edgy about my style a lot of the times, I think I also like to keep that femininity to my silhouette as well. Rule number 3 is, if you can't make rule number 2 work, then keep it boxy. What I basically mean by this is that sometimes there's outfits that don't show the waistline or the hip line. And so for me, if I am gonna opt out of those options, there are some really cool looks out there with boxy structured tops and just really cool boxy bottoms, and they just have like a really cool contemporary look. And I feel like if I'm going boxy, it kind of keeps that elongating aspect. So to me, it's still flattering because they might not be showing your waistline or your hip line, but at least it's elongating the body. So rule number 4 is balance is king. If you've been following my channel for a while, you have heard me talk about balance quite a bit. And I have done a video on balance, which I will link up here and below. So you can refer to that if you want to kind of dive further into some examples. But yes, ultimately what I mean with balance is when you have one piece from one category or one extreme, finding its counterpoint from another extreme or another category to then balance each other out. This is kind of the beauty of where you see the look of somebody wearing a suit with a pair of statement sneakers. You have the sophistication balanced out with a bit of casualness. So it's just, to me, it elevates the looks because it makes things a little bit more unexpected. It makes things a little more rounded, really where this artistic sort of creative aspect comes into play when it comes to styling, just seeing how people play with balance. And sometimes that balance is off. Sometimes people choose to go commit to an extreme, which I also think is beautiful, and I think it can be really artistic in the styling realm. But I think for me personally, yeah, balance is king, is key. Okay, so rule number 5 is there are no rules when it comes to color, only intention. So I have done a video on this recently, my minimalist ways of styling color. I will make sure to link it up here as well as down below. And yeah, definitely take a look at that to get a little bit more, insight into this. Basically in that video, and what I've said on many of my episodes, is that, yeah, I don't think that there is rules when it comes to color. I think, I don't believe that you can't wear black during the summer. I don't believe that you can't wear white after Labor Day. I just think when it comes to color, when you are mixing colors, that you just have to have that intention. Okay, and rule number 6 is, where is my edge? Now I've always got my edge going on here. That's the beauty of a good haircut. Yeah, so again, this is something that I always talk about. For me personally, I always have to have just a little bit of edge. I wouldn't say I like to go all the way edgy, like that's not my vibe either, but I have to have a little bit of edge in there. So maybe it's wearing like a classic looking outfit, blazer with a pair of pants. So instead of, having just your stereotypical type of heels to go with it, maybe it's wearing like a really edgy platform heel, or maybe it's pairing it with some combat boots, some Chelsea, like platform Chelsea boots, just something that adds a little bit of edge, that doesn't make it go all the way to one side. And this really basically plays off of my other rule of balance is king. I would say a lot of times my other end of the spectrum, my bit of contrast is edge. So I have a lot of very basic looks or very sophisticated looks or feminine looks, and how I like to balance those looks out is with a little bit of edge. And I think that's why I like to have the edgy haircut, because it kind of takes care of that for me effortlessly. But yeah, otherwise it might just be a little styling piece. Maybe it's just even a little styling tweak. This is also where I have fun with my shoes. I would say a lot of my shoes I try to have a lot more edge. There you have it, my rule book to styling my outfits. Yep, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Nothing fancy. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely days that I'm throwing the rule book out and being a rebellion to myself, because that's what it's all about. Can't always follow the rules, can ya? My parents are probably shaking their head right now because I definitely didn't follow the rules when I was a teenager. But it is nice to have a few rules in place to kind of just guide you through the normal day-to-day. So yeah, let me know if you have any rules that you like to live by when it comes to styling. I hope that today's episode was helpful, or at least somewhat entertaining, some sort of value. You know what I'm gonna ask you to do next. Give me that thumbs up, comment below, share with friends, and subscribe for future weekly episodes. You have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your day, and we will be chatting soon. Bye.